If there were an award for being the worst $95 million signing of all time, it would hands down be this guy. When United made the deal in 2022 for Antony, with a fee of $95 million going to Ajax, a lot was expected out of the transfer. But it's safe to say it hasn't worked out. So what went wrong with Antony, and how he's become so bad he's getting memed even when he doesn't play? It gets even more confusing, considering that he bagged on his debut.
Ball's in, it could lead to Antony on his debut! He slots Manchester United into the...
For Manchester United, Antony's signing came with a lot of promise. In the Champions League for Ajax, even though they got knocked out in the round of 16 stage, he put in a more than decent performance, 2 goals and 4 assists in 7 Champions League games. Still only 22 at the time, he was already seen as a promising prospect, and one for the future too. A couple of teams were looking at him as a possible signing in the upcoming window, but it all changed when in Manchester, the red half of the city made this major move. They appointed Erik ten Hag as the team's new head coach, and he immediately wanted to implement his ideas and philosophies at United. It's almost like Ten Hag was trying to create a mini Ajax replica at United. He'd already signed Lisandro Martinez from his former team, but his next target was Antony, and he got him. It couldn't have gotten any better. As we've shown in the earlier clip, after he bagged on his debut, it was like he had Old Trafford at his feet. Fast forward to the present day, and we're dealing with a guy who managed just 1 Premier League goal last season. So what went wrong with Antony then? First off, we've got to start with that price tag. There's no way he's worth $95 million. The dude isn't even worth half of that. And here's the crazy thing. Both he and his former team Ajax knew this as well. See guys, initially, the deal between United and Ajax for Antony stalled early on. Ten Hag came and wanted the club to get Antony by any means necessary. And because of this, the club did some crazy stuff. They sold Anthony Elanga to Nottingham Forest just to make up space down the wings for Antony's potential signing. For context, Elanga had 14 goal contributions in the league with Nottingham Forest last season. Antony, 1 goal and 1 assist. After freeing up the space, United walked away from the deal, only to come back later. United reportedly wanted to pay $30 million, and Ajax wanted to double that. Seeing how desperate United was, they upped the figure to $95 million. And I don't know which is more surprising, the fact that they upped the figure and made it ×3 of what United valued the player on, or the fact that United actually paid. Yep, they did pay $95 million for him, and he became a United player. So how has he done then after this? In his first season, we did see glimpses of why United paid that much to sign him.
Fred tries his luck, and then Antony! For Manchester United!
The goal against Barcelona, or scoring in his first 3 games of the season. After bagging against Liverpool, he scored against both Manchester City and Everton, and at that point, the move was promising signs of things to come. But then what followed can simply be best described as inconsistency. 3 goals in his first 3 games, and after this, it took him 15 league games to get to his next goal contribution in the league for United. He's a winger. This just sounds off. Now, at this point, there was the benefit of the doubt for Antony, that he was only just settling into the Premier League and still getting warmed up, meaning his next season, which was the 2023-24 version, was supposed to be the one where he had really taken off and shown why United paid all that money for him. But it somehow got worse. He played 29 Premier League games last season, started 15, and came off the bench in 14. In total, this added up to 1,324 minutes of action in the league. His total, 1 goal and 1 assist. It feels so cringe reading this, knowing he cost that much. He was averaging a goal contribution every 662 minutes. Very, very unsatisfactory. The lack of end product was costing the team. United didn't exactly feel it in 2022-23, when Marcus Rashford was in the form of his career, scoring over 30 goals that season. But in the last campaign, when the output from the attacking department was low, A player with the amount paid on him would have been expected to deliver big, and he came up with 1 goal and 1 assist in the league. Now you would, to an extent, be able to excuse this if he was contributing in other areas of the pitch, like being creative or making key passes or anything within that category. Except he wasn't. In the 2 seasons he's been at United, the 2022-23 and the 2023-24 season, he's averaged 1.4 and 1.5 key passes per 90. This number is very, very low. For example, his teammate Bruno Fernandes averaged 4.3 key passes per 90. The problem with Antony was now that he wasn't only just lacking the end product, he couldn't contribute in other areas on the pitch. Heck, it was like every time he played, he was only doing cardio.
Up against Baba Rahman.
Gave that big build-up all for what? Initially, it felt like he only needed to build his confidence, but trust me, it only gets worse. That infamous face man, yeah, he acted like he was a Marvel main character coming to change the game. And as soon as that face dropped, he was getting memed to the end. It still doesn't end there. Perhaps the biggest cringe moment with this guy was at Wembley. United versus Coventry City in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. United went 3 goals up, but somehow managed to blow the 3-goal lead and force the game into penalties. They did win it on the shootout, but the embarrassment of losing a lead like that to Coventry City, the players themselves knew there was nothing worth celebrating, except Antony. Cupping your ears after blowing a 3-goal lead to a championship team is just downright disgusting. This is particularly worrying, considering the highlight clips that came out about him before the move to United. Skills, tricks, it felt like United was getting the complete package after signing Antony, and yet that hasn't been the case at all. When it comes to dribbling, despite doing stuff like this on a match day, yeah, Antony doesn't even come close to the best dribblers in the Premier League or the top European leagues. At Ajax, he was averaging 2.2 dribbles per 90. At Manchester United, 1.5 in his first season, 1.8 in the second season, and currently in the Premier League this season. 1. That's the figure. He's completed just 1 dribble in the Premier League so far this season. Away from the field, he also did have a couple of negative news around him. So news broke out that he had reportedly attacked his partner and was even facing jail time if it was confirmed. He even attended an interview with the Greater Manchester Police just to clear this off. So now we know what he's been doing wrong. Can he change it then? Honestly, it doesn't quite feel like it.
Do you think we could win more? Do you think we could win a lot of trophies this season?
Olha, com certeza. A grandeza que o United tem não tem que brigar só por título, tem que brigar por muitos.
For someone who says he wants to win trophies, then he needs to understand a lot of work goes into that. Just watching Antony play, there's already a downside to his game that's easily noticeable. I mean, he's arguably the most one-dimensional player in the league. It's almost as if fullbacks don't even bother going as hard on him, because everyone knows what he wants to do. Get the ball, cut in on his left, and attempt a shot top bins. It's not working, and he's been unable to fix or change this ever since. Right now, he's done more bad than good at the club. I mean, it feels like almost every transfer window, there will be potential news of a move away from the club for Antony. It's crazy to think how 2 years back, he was playing at the World Cup.
Here's Antony's first involvement.
Or even crazier to think, he made the Brazil team for the World Cup. But at the time, he was more than decent, a proper prospect. But ever since, he's continued to be on the decline and hasn't done anything to justify even half the price tag United paid for him. But with all that's been said so far, it seems like with Antony, there's still a player in there. He did bag in the 7-0 win versus Barnsley, and in truth, he had a decent performance in that game, and maybe that just explains the whole thing. We could be dealing with the case of the wrong player at the wrong time in United. It's clear now, just watching him play, that he isn't worth that price tag, or half of it. But from what he displayed at Ajax, there is the possibility that he could have moved to a different club and things could have turned out differently, or that he could have stayed at Ajax and become one of the team's main men. Goals versus Barnsley, Newport County, and performances versus Reading all suggest that perhaps Antony is a decent player who could be playing his football in a league not as physically demanding as the Premier League. He could have made it anywhere else, but not at United. On his part, the player wants to succeed.
É ansioso, não vi a hora de poder chegar, de poder vestir essa camisa.
I mean, he talks fondly about his wanting to move to United a lot, and maybe that's another indicator as to why he's been that bad. Heck, maybe he was never really who we thought he was in the first place. Think about it. The Premier League over the years, heck, Manchester United over the years, has seen players arrive at the club from the Dutch top flight and fail to live up to the hype or expectations surrounding them when they first arrived. I mean, the likes of Memphis Depay, Daley Blind, and now Antony, it hasn't worked out. Just another name on the list of transfers that didn't quite flow at the club. In the current season, with his current form, Antony will struggle for game time. The form of players like Amad Diallo or Alejandro Garnacho means if he doesn't live up to his game soon, Antony's best bet at the team would be making the subs list. Erik ten Hag is gone now. Enter Ruben Amorim, the new coach of Manchester United. What does this mean for Antony? Well, there were times last season when he wasn't playing well, but Ten Hag continued to back and start him in games, probably trying to build up his confidence or something of that sort. However, with Ruben Amorim, it's a clean slate. The players at the club will now know that nothing is a guarantee. No one has an automatic place in the starting 11 or the bench. It'll be interesting to see how well he can perform under Ruben, and Antony will know well that the rumors around him leaving the club will continue, especially with talks about the team trying to cut costs. Overall, Antony hasn't lived up to the hype at United. It's been way below average. For a $100 million signing, he might just go down as the worst in Premier League history. If you watched this and still haven't subscribed to Goal Zone yet, you're missing out. Hit that button below so you never miss any of the action.